We rarely contemplate the true price of a roof over our heads. Isn't that a thought-provoking notion? We often take for granted the stability and security our homes offer. For millions of middle-class Americans, affording housing is a constant battle, a hidden war fought behind the closed doors of seemingly secure homes. Welcome to our exploration of the unseen struggle, America's middle-class rent crisis. This issue impacts countless lives yet remains largely unnoticed and misunderstood. Why the invisibility? The middle class, often seen as the economic backbone, is presumed to be secure and comfortable. But reality paints a different picture. Rising living costs coupled with stagnant wages make it increasingly difficult for middle-class families to keep up. Imagine this. Your paycheck remains the same year after year, while everything around you becomes more expensive: groceries, gas, school fees, and most importantly, rent. These costs balloon, yet your income stagnates. This is the harsh reality for many middle-class Americans today. Gentrification adds another layer. As cities evolve, neighborhoods transform, often leading to higher property values and rents. What happens to middle-class families who've called these areas home for years? They're forced to pay more or move out, facing displacement and instability. The middle-class rent crisis is complex, with many contributing factors. But at its core, it's about people. It's about families struggling to afford a roof overhead. It's about communities torn apart by rising living costs. It's about the erosion of the middle class, a vital part of our society. This video delves into America's middle-class rent crisis, the unseen struggle. We'll explore its causes, impacts, and most importantly, potential solutions. Because understanding the problem is the first step towards finding a solution. Let's embark on this journey together and meet John and Jane Doe, a middle-class couple residing in San Francisco. They epitomize the quintessential American family, diligently working 9-to-5 jobs while raising 2 children. However, like numerous middle-class families in major cities, they grapple with the daunting reality of exorbitant rent. Nestled in the heart of San Francisco, where tech giants and venture capitalists flourish, the cost of living has soared to unprecedented heights. Despite this, while salaries in Silicon Valley escalate, the wages of ordinary individuals like the Does remain stagnant. They find themselves entrenched in a relentless struggle against escalating rental costs, a battle intensifying with each passing month. John and Jane are not alone in this predicament. They symbolize the countless others ensnared in the crossfire of surging housing prices and stagnant incomes. This struggle transcends San Francisco, extending its reach to cities such as Los Angeles, New York, and Seattle, among countless others nationwide. It's a narrative that's all too familiar, yet often overlooked. Every month, John and Jane confront arduous decisions, forced to prioritize necessities, curtail luxuries, and occasionally dip into their savings. They navigate the perpetual anxiety of impending rent hikes, the unease of living paycheck to paycheck, and the looming fear of eviction. Their story isn't one of fiscal imprudence, but rather a testament to systemic issues fueling a widening chasm between the cost of living and average wages. Their plight reflects that of millions across America grappling with the burden of rent. It's a weighty burden that necessitates collective acknowledgement as we endeavor to address the challenges confronting the middle class in America. John and Jane Doe aren't seeking handouts or charity. They simply yearn for a fair opportunity to live comfortably without the specter of financial ruin looming over them. Their story isn't unique. It resonates across the nation, underscoring the urgent need to confront the escalating housing crisis. It's imperative that we recognize and confront this challenge, ensuring that every individual has a shot at achieving financial stability and housing security in an increasingly unaffordable world. Let's uncover the numbers behind the crisis. As we delve deeper into the issue, it's crucial to understand the statistics and data that paint a stark picture of the rent crisis. Beyond mere numbers, it's about the people these statistics represent. Over the past decade, the rental market has undergone a dramatic shift. Rent prices have soared to unprecedented heights in many bustling cities. The cost of rent has doubled, even tripled, in less than 10 years. This meteoric rise far outpaces inflation and significantly outstrips the growth of the average American's paycheck. While rent prices skyrocket, wages have largely remained stagnant. Over the past 20 years, average wages have increased by a mere 3%. This glaring disparity between soaring rent prices and stagnant wages has created a widening gap that grows increasingly difficult to bridge with each passing day. The situation is even more dire for those at the lower end of the wage spectrum. For these individuals, a significant portion of their income, often more than 50%, goes towards rent. This leaves little room for other necessities such as food, healthcare, and education. Despite this clear imbalance, the issue continues to go unnoticed, or is often brushed off as a problem confined to major metropolitan areas. However, data suggests otherwise. This is a nationwide crisis affecting communities big and small, urban and rural alike. Moreover, it's crucial to recognize that this crisis is not just about the inability to pay rent. It's about the stress, fear, and uncertainty that accompany the struggle to keep a roof over one's head. It's about the unseen battle that millions of middle-class Americans are fighting every day. The numbers speak for themselves. The rent crisis is a growing issue that demands urgent attention. It's time for us to recognize this crisis for what it is, an unseen battle that threatens the stability and future of America's middle class. Let's not ignore the facts. Let's face them, understand them, and most importantly, act on them. The rent crisis affects more than just middle-class bank accounts. In the shadow of the rent crisis, there's a hidden narrative that goes beyond mere monetary implications. When we talk about the middle class, we often focus on the economic aspects. However, the reality is that the effects of this crisis spill over into other areas of life. Take mental health, for instance. The constant strain of worrying about making rent can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and depression. These are not minor afflictions, but serious health concerns that can impact every aspect of a person's life, from their work performance to their relationships. It's a ripple effect that, left unchecked, can be devastating. Then there's the issue of homelessness. While we may primarily associate homelessness with poverty, the truth is that an increasing number of middle-class individuals and families are finding themselves without a roof over their heads because of unmanageable rent prices. It's a heartbreaking reality that shatters the illusion of stability that the middle class is supposed to represent. Lastly, we must consider the erosion of the middle class itself. The middle class has always been the backbone of American society, representing stability and upward mobility. But as the rent crisis continues to escalate, the middle class is slowly but surely being squeezed out. If the middle class shrinks or disappears, what does that mean for the American dream? The rent crisis extends far beyond mere financial concerns. It deeply impacts mental health, exacerbates homelessness, and undermines the very foundation of our society. It's eroding the stability of the middle class and compromising the prospects of a brighter future. As we confront this crisis, let's acknowledge its humanitarian dimensions alongside its economic implications. It's not just about wallets, it's about people's livelihoods and aspirations. To grasp the complexities of the crisis, we must scrutinize the systemic factors that have contributed to its emergence. Our housing system, shaped over decades, has witnessed a staggering rise in costs, vastly outpacing stagnant wages. This disparity has left swathes of middle-class Americans unable to secure affordable housing, amplifying the rent crisis. Furthermore, gentrification, while promising rejuvenation in neglected areas, often displaces long-standing residents as property values and rents soar. This phenomenon intensifies the struggle for middle-class families, forcing many out of their homes and exacerbating the rent crisis. Lastly, income inequality looms large, perpetuating the divide between the affluent and the middle class. While the wealthy flourish, middle-class households grapple with meager wage growth and escalating living expenses. This growing disparity makes it increasingly challenging for middle-class families to afford rent, let alone plan for their futures. These systemic challenges, lack of affordable housing, gentrification, and income inequality, form intricate pieces of the rent crisis puzzle. However, it's imperative to recognize that they are not insurmountable. These issues stem from human decisions and can be addressed through concerted efforts and policy reforms. Our system is in dire need of serious reform if we hope to tackle the rent crisis. The question of how to alleviate this burden has reverberated through the corridors of policy and activism, demanding practical solutions. It's high time we roll up our sleeves and get to work. First and foremost, let's consider rent control laws. These regulations can play a crucial role in stabilizing the rental market by placing limits on how much landlords can increase rent each year. They serve as a shield, protecting renters from sudden, exorbitant rent hikes. However, it's essential to implement them carefully, considering the needs of both tenants and landlords to prevent unintended consequences. Secondly, we should explore increasing the minimum wage. It's no secret that wages have failed to keep pace with the cost of living, widening the gap between earnings and rental costs. By raising the minimum wage, we empower more people to afford their housing. It's not just about providing shelter. It's about ensuring people can live with dignity, free from the constant stress of making ends meet. Investing in affordable housing is another crucial piece of the puzzle. We can no longer rely solely on the private sector to address this crisis. It's time for a public commitment to creating, maintaining, and protecting affordable housing. This could involve offering incentives for developers to build affordable units or even direct governmental investment in public housing. Of course, these solutions are not exhaustive, nor will they magically solve the crisis overnight. However, they represent steps in the right direction, a path forward out of the current quagmire. It's time to act decisively and collaboratively to address the root causes of the rent crisis and ensure a more equitable future for all. Let's acknowledge that the issue of housing transcends mere economics. It's a fundamental human concern. It's about empowering individuals to flourish, free from the oppressive burden of soaring rents. Now is the time for action. We must champion policies that safeguard tenants, guarantee fair wages, and foster the development of affordable housing. The middle class is entitled to more than mere survival. They are owed stability, security, and a place to call home. The rent crisis isn't a mere statistic. It's a stark reality for countless Americans. As we tackle this intricate challenge, it's vital to recognize our collective role. You might question your impact, but it all begins with education. Knowledge is a formidable tool, and grasping the full scope of the rent crisis enables us to engage in purposeful action. A plethora of resources awaits your discovery: books, documentaries, articles, blogs, podcasts. Seek out reputable sources that offer comprehensive insights. Learn about the history, underlying causes, consequences, and potential solutions to this crisis. Once informed, it's time to amplify your voice. Initiate dialogues. Discuss the rent crisis with peers, family, and co-workers. Leverage social media to raise awareness and spark debates that challenge conventional norms and advocate for change. But don't stop there. Get involved in your community. Attend town hall gatherings and question your representatives on their approach to the rent crisis. If their efforts are lacking, hold them accountable. Remember, your vote is a powerful tool. Use it to endorse policies and candidates committed to affordable housing and equitable rental practices. Support organizations that tirelessly defend tenant rights and advance affordable housing. Your contributions, whether financial or voluntary, can significantly impact. And most importantly, practice empathy. Behind every statistic is a personal narrative. The rent crisis isn't just about figures, it's about individuals striving for a better existence. Ultimately, it boils down to our united resolve to make a difference. Together, we can instigate change and alleviate the rent burden. This unseen battle is one we must collectively face. We've explored the concealed struggle that afflicts numerous middle-class Americans, examining the crisis beyond its immediate financial toll to reveal its extensive societal implications. We've traced the origins of this predicament, marked by economic transitions and policy missteps. More crucially, we've envisioned a hopeful trajectory forward. Each of us has a part to play in this endeavor, whether it's advocating for affordable housing, supporting renter-friendly policies, or simply spreading the word. This silent struggle isn't just about data, it's about real individuals, real lives, and the essence of our communities. Thank you for engaging with us in this critical examination of America's middle-class rent crisis. United, we can effectuate change.